Hi 3D design students, today I'm going to show you how we're going to glaze this little relief tile that we made, and we're going to be using the underglazes. Again, these will come out the exact color that they are in the bottle, and these act very similarly to paint. Okay, so you're going to get the colors you need and you're going to pour them into a palette, and these can be found over by the sink in that middle area. You're going to need a variety of sized brushes. You're going to need a little cup of water. I'm going to put that right here in the middle of my palette. And a paper towel is also a good idea just to clean your brush off. You're also going to need that reference image. You probably, hopefully, still have it on your iPad saved somewhere because you're going to need to reference it to look at your colors and that sort of thing. Okay. Once you have your colors all laid out, and just so you know, these colors can be saved, so at the end of the class period, I'll show you, you can just put a piece of saran wrap over them, kind of spray them lightly with water, and they'll stay until the next class period. But like I said before, this is very similar process to actually painting. Okay, so I've sanded this. Remember, sand and then rinse. Those are your first steps. And then you can go ahead and paint. So for example, my sky, I'm going to want to fade, I'm going to do like a dark blue into a lighter blue down here, and then I'm going to paint the clouds white on top. One thing to think about or to remember is you don't necessarily have to use the same color palette as your picture. So say I wanted to paint like a sunset instead of the clouds, that's definitely an option. That would be fine. So in order to do this, I'm going to take my blue and my white because I want to make a lighter version of this blue. I'm just going to put it into one of my empty little trays here. If your tray is completely full, you can just get another one. And I'm just rinsing my brush off, wiping it on the paper towel. I'm going to pull some white, and I'm going to have like a lighter version of this blue because I want it to kind of fade from dark to light. So I want to have my colors kind of ready to go, because the paint, or the glaze I should say, absorbs into the clay relatively quickly. Okay, so that's going to be my brush there. I'm going to use a separate brush. Feel free to grab as many brushes as you need. Alright, so when you're applying the underglaze, because you're going to go over it a couple times as you're painting, you don't need to be as cognizant about the 3-coat rule. It will cover pretty well. So you're seeing I'm putting on like that dark blue color, and then I'm going to lay the blue lighter color right on top of it while it's still wet. It's really important you do this when it's still wet. And then I'm going to take a dry, clean brush for blending. Notice how I'm using that small little brush to do my blending between the dark and the light colors. That brush doesn't have any color on it, it's just my blending brush. That way I can get the dark blue and the light blue mixed together and look like it's blending into like a gradient. That's why I say underglaze is really similar to paint, because it really does work the same way. You can get like those little painterly qualities. Don't forget to also paint the edges as well. We don't want to forget about those. And you could paint them like all black or white, or you can go ahead and paint them the same color as whatever area you're currently painting. You can see I got like a nice kind of blended fade going on there, which is what I'm looking for. And now I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next area. I would recommend working from the background to the foreground, so the areas that are most carved down, and then your middle area, and then your most raised area, you're going to go ahead and save for the end. Okay? And that's the basic process of painting this tile. Remember, this is an underglaze, which means that it does not have the clear coat built in. And because it does not have the clear coat built in, it's going to go into the kiln, and this glaze is going to get baked on, and then it will come out again. You're going to coat it with a clear coat, and it will go back into the kiln for a third time. So when you use the underglaze on the bisqueware, it does require 3 firings. Sometimes you can put the clear coat on top right over the underglaze, but I find that smears the underglaze, and it's best just to go through 3 firings. Okay, so that is our goal today. This is going to take you a little bit longer than some of the other glazing because it's going to require like the blending and the multiple colors. So don't feel like you need to finish this in one class period. It likely will not happen. class, if these glazes are still able to be used and you still need them, you can see I got way too much. You don't need to get nearly this much glaze, but it is kind of hard sometimes to pour it out of the bottle and not pour a big glob in. But anyway, when you're done, if you're going to use it next class period, you can just lightly with a spray bottle, just give it a nice little mist. I am spraying it with a nice little mist. And then take some saran wrap, it's located over by the windowsill, and just go ahead and cover your palette with the saran wrap. And you can just go ahead and place this on your shelf for the next time that you're planning to use it.